you guys heard I'm the pastor of a church here, and I love my church, Madison Avenue Baptist Church. Got a lot of folk here from the church. But I also feel this is my ministry with this church, but I also feel this is my ministry here too. And, I can't help but think about a show we had probably 15 years ago, maybe, in the Mid-Atlantic. And the organizer of the show called, I think it was Bob, or alerted us that the show was going to be a really small turnout. We said, why? And they said because some of the major kind of mega large churches in the area were boycotting because a minister and a rabbi and a Muslim were going to be on stage together. And it was in that moment, I was loving the shows and I'm having fun with it, but it was in that moment that I realized that we're not just a comedy show, we're on the front line of a battle. And it's, if nothing else, the three of us on stage presenting like love and acceptance and humor and showing our friendship was one of the most important things we could do as human beings. And so that is, I find, the joy of this show, not only because these guys are my great friends, but because I know the power of the three of us on stage together, and it's a message that we just have to keep bringing over and over.
And then traveling with Bob and Susan, having so much access to questions and answers, learning about other people's faiths, ideologies, their behavior, which is ultimately they're so sweet, inclusive. They included me into their own tour and shows, accepted me, and they've watched me grow as a comedian, and I've watched them grow, and we watch each other grow as human beings through like health difficulties, relationships. So ultimately now it feels like these different religions are my family. And I guess what we're trying to do is kind of share that with everyone else so you can see it and possibly, incorporate that into your own ethos.
What was pretty interesting, though, when Gibran drove across the state line, Vermont's Muslim population doubled. And I'll never invite him to my home again because our cat, Loretta, who was very standoffish, took a liking to him. And she can't wait for him to come back to cuddle, but she ignores me. But anyway, that's one of the downsides of our relationship. We know, as Susan mentioned, there are tensions between our communities, but in our work together and our friendship, we've come up with one idea that we think could help bridge the divide, and it's this: that we sincerely think there could be healing between all of our communities, Muslims, Jews, and Christians. There could be healing if all of us together could simply learn Irish dancing.
I remember the first time that I announced to my Southern Baptist Sunday school teacher, Mrs. Lideker, at age 6, that I wanted to be a preacher. And as you can imagine, given the stance of the church, her response was rather curt. It was actually like 6 words. And because she smoked an awful lot of unfiltered cigarettes, and unbeknownst to most people in the church, drank an awful lot of bourbon, those 6 words came out sounding kind of like a hybrid between Sam Elliott and Isaac Hayes, Darling, that's just not gonna happen. Chapter 5, verse 9, the Israelites have lost the battle and the Philistines are going home carrying the Ark of the Covenant. And it was so that after the Philistines had carried the ark about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a great destruction. And the Lord smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had hemorrhoids in their secret parts. You cannot make this up, y'all. Seriously, okay? 3 years and $75,000 a seminary. It's the best thing I learned the whole time.
My name is Gibran. I'm sure a lot of you don't know me. If you have trouble with my name, Gibran, no worries. I have fun with it. I feel like a lot of times when I meet people and I say my name, I feel like they only hear what they're already expecting. Because I'll meet someone and I'll be like, hi, my name's Gibran. And they'll be like, oh, nice to meet you, Muhammad. And I'll be like, what? How in the world did they get my middle name? That is amazing. Are they psychic? It's like the southern... No, I was born in North Carolina. So like a lot of old school Pakistanis consider me American, and like a lot of old school Americans consider me a risk. So I'm like right there in New York City.
This whole thing about being a rabbi and a stand-up comic came together. I was changing planes in Philadelphia on my way to a show in L.A., and a woman walked over to me, did a double take. She said, "You're Rabbi Alper, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You probably don't remember me," and I didn't. She said, "But I was a kid in your congregation here in Philadelphia during the early 80s. And I used to watch the way you would teach and lead services and counsel and preach. And so I decided to become a rabbi anyway." My wife and I have been married for 53 years. Okay. And, our lives are totally in sync. For example, at the same time I got hearing aids, she stopped mumbling. Years ago, we got some good news on him. We found out we were able to arrange a student loan for him. We loaned him to a family in Iowa. The teenage years were the toughest. I don't need to tell you that if you had teenage kids at one point. But the Bible actually talks about kids that age. According to one of the commentaries, the reason Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac at the age of 12 and not 13 is because at 13, it wouldn't have been a sacrifice.